Hi there, I have a very short video here talking about some tips for the Cambridge Advanced Use of English section. We're going to be focusing on parts of speech for this video. Firstly, do you know what parts of speech means? Have a guess? Parts of speech are the types of words we use in English. Specifically, noun, pronoun, verb, adjective, adverb, preposition, conjunction. Hopefully, you already know what these are. Have a little think, see if you can remember what these are. And if you're not sure, here you are. Here are some examples. You can just pause the video and have a little read of these, okay? Moving on then, we're going to talk about how we can take advantage of parts of speech and context when we're in the Use of English exam. Now, for Use of English Part 2, we need to be completing the gap in a sentence. You can see, here's an example here. But even for part 3, parts of speech will still be very relevant for part 3. So this can be useful for parts 2, 3, and sometimes it can even be useful for parts 4, because in all of these activities, we are having to fill in the blank in a sentence. Let's firstly show how we can use this, okay? Here we have a really simple example with a sentence. So let's begin by reading the sentence. I generally like horror movies. The one we watched yesterday was one of the worst I've ever seen. Okay. What we should do is kind of separate these parts of the sentence a bit and try to break it down. This first part, how would you describe it? I would say it's positive. I'd say it's a really good thing. I'm going to put that in green as a good thing. I generally like horror movies. This one, the one we watched yesterday was one of the worst I've ever seen. I'm going to put that in red. It's a bad negative idea. In this one, we're saying this movie was terrible. Okay? So firstly, I've identified that we're changing the tone of the sentence a bit. We've gone from positive down to negative next. Now we need to consider our part of speech. This part here, do I think it could be a verb? Well, probably not, because there's no subject. Well, could it be a subject or pronoun? Well, no, because then there's no verb afterwards. That doesn't make any sense. It couldn't be an adjective, and it couldn't be an... Well, it possibly could be an adverb, but having a look at this, I think this is one phrase or sentence, and this is a completely different phrase or sentence. So we need something that connects together two different sentences, right? What do we use? What do we call that? Well, that is our conjunction. We need a conjunction, or if you like to keep it simple, a linking word. That's what we want, a linking word. And what do we use to link opposite ideas? We use contrast linking words. Maybe you know some contrast linking words. Here, an answer could be something like however, though, or although, or even but. Okay, any of these, they are acceptable contrast linking devices. So they would all work in this example here. So for this, we combined context, okay, we understood the situation in the sentence with our part of speech understanding to identify what type of word we need, and then using the context to understand, should it be a contrasting conjunction or should it be connecting the same idea? Now we're going to move on to some actual examples in the Use of English Part 2. I'll zoom in a little bit more to make it easier to see. So this is all about World Book Day. This year's World Book Day, which is taking place on March 2nd, hopes to encourage everyone, and especially children, to discover the joy of reading. Schools and libraries are getting involved with a packed schedule of events designed bring books to life. Okay, we'll consider our parts of speech and also the context of the sentence. Do you have any ideas? Because to me, we're saying there's some events designed, okay, that's an action, and then bring books to life. I mean, that sounds like the effect of this action, right? It sounds like maybe this is why they are doing the action. How can we describe doing an action and the reason? Well, we use the infinitive verb, designed to bring books to life here. There will be writers popping schools to read from their books and answer questions. Now this sounds like a very similar idea to the previous one, but slightly different. This time we have the infinitive, okay? They are doing something to read from their books, but what are they doing? I mean, it sounds to me like they are visiting schools, but this doesn't say visiting, this says popping something. So we need another phrase that will mean visiting. Maybe if you know it, popping into. That will be the correct answer. To pop into somewhere in English means to just quickly go in and quickly go out. You don't stay for a long time. Okay. Continuing on. Children will also be able to take part in readings. Okay, this sounds to me like a thing, okay, an action, they can do this, and then that they really have a chance to engage with the books. Again, this sounds like the reason they're doing this thing, so we should use the infinitive, right? Well, no, not quite, because the infinitive is to plus base verb. But this, we have just the word that. So, I believe this and the word that come together to form a linking device. And it's a linking device that explains the reasons of doing an action. Maybe you know it. It will be so that. Okay, continuing on to number 12. This can actually be our final example. Don't want to make this video too long. Let's read it. As something as hoping to encourage children to catch the reading bug. WBD also. Now, this word here also says to me that this sentence is all about a list. It's all about many different things. So, I know that this structure as something as, it could be two things in English. Could be a comparative, like I am as fast as a tiger, okay? But do I think it's a comparative? Would an adjective go in here? As purple as hoping to encourage children? No, an adjective doesn't really make sense here. It wouldn't be a comparative. So then, I think it's another type of linking device, possibly here. I think, what addition linking devices do we know to add more information to a list? We can say also, we can say in addition, or as well as. As well as will be the answer here. So, I hope that in this little video today, you've seen some examples of how considering parts of speech and also the context of the sentence and how the ideas in the sentence connect together, all of these things will really help you in the use of English. So please try out this technique the next time that you do use of English practice. Think about the parts of speech, think about how the sections of the sentences connect together, and hopefully you'll do better in your practice. Thank you for watching.